I told them to go out there by 10:30 because my inner guidance knew that something was going to happen of great importance about then. And Linda was there, and several of the people here were there. Well, they were standing out there, and they saw the part of this extraterrestrial event that I didn't. And there was this beautiful orb, lit, scintillating, blue-white, that came out of space, flew over the trees, and went right into the window. And Ron Russell, who's a very well-known crop circle researcher, who's a very good friend of mine, space artist who did the artwork for these books, said, "That's Stephen's room." And they went, "Oh." And of course then the rest is what happened. Well, this extraterrestrial being was there, and it was a state of beautiful love and just enormous, not at all like what you hear about in the UFO stuff. Those are PLFs that we're making, the scary things. Their own ARVs that we're manufacturing at Lockheed, and those creatures that people think are ETs for manufacturing. Oh, it's a whole long story. It's all in the book. What you don't know about this stuff is everything. And the more, it's like this woman, I'm sorry. It was like, Lawrence Rockefeller and Mrs. Boutros-Ghali hosted me at this thing in New York on one of these salons for the New York 100, and I was there, and this matron came up to me and said, "I'll have you know, I've read 26 books, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Yes, my dear, it just means you've absorbed into your consciousness 26 times more rubbish than if you'd only read one book." So, ouch. I know, how blunt. No time for mincing words. So, you'll get the straight stuff up from me, it's just how I am. But one of the things that happened that year, in context of these violent things happening to Bill Colby and our team, and there was a member who was killed helping us get this stuff out. And I thought to myself, oh my God, we're going to DEFCON 5 and we've just started. And there was a part of me, I'm very, what did Rumsfeld like to say, forward-leaning? I can get my way in the ERs. Boom, here it goes, bam. There is alpha male sort of person. But on one level, that's one part of my aspect. The other aspect's very loving. I'm a big teddy bear. But I was really pissed off. But that night, that week when we were in England, I had this dream. And in the dream, I went into this lucid astral dream state. We were awake in the dream. You know what I mean by this? And there was this enormous, vicious lion. Now, the leadership of this so-called MJ-12 group have been called the Lions of MJ-12. And this lion was stalking and was getting closer to kill me. And it was very, very intent on, I was the prey and it was the predator. And I didn't respond to that with fear or anger. And what I did was go into this place beyond the placeless, the unbounded. And I went into this state of divine love and went and asked for the forgiveness of this creature and the enlightenment of the creature. And we did this dance with the lion. We went into, whoa, I hit my head on that. And we went, being 6'4" has its disadvantage. And we went around and we were doing this. And after a little while, we're connecting eye to eye with this enormous, ferocious lion. And then it became very friendly. And then I got closer, and I put my arm around him. And we sat there, and it was purring, a big. And then it flipped on its back, and I was petting its tummy. And that's exactly what we're doing. It's exactly. It's a dream metaphor for exactly what we're doing. We're engaging the lion, but not on the basis of the consciousness of it attacking, but on the consciousness of who we are, of peace, of universal peace, of divine consciousness, of cosmic awareness and love. And it's happening. It's happening on every strata of society. Now, I don't know how far this is being taped, I presume. So certain restrictions on that. But let me tell you that there is a major country in the world, a G7 country, that has decided to do this with us and have invited us to become the primary contact team to precipitate an event where these extraterrestrial vehicles, with the full support of their Air Force, Space Command, everything, land and meet the leadership of this country, with us facilitating this, so that this can then be proximally disclosed to the world. And that's what we're doing. Imminent. What we're working on is imminently. So amongst the leadership worldwide in this power structure, we now know there's about 50% of them or more who support disclosure, peace, and getting these technologies out that could give us, the world would become a rose garden. A rose garden. And they know that. And they're breaking with the hardcore eschatological, everybody knows what eschatology is, the study of how the world's going to end and setting up the conditions for the destruction of earth so Christ returns. It's all this sort of misinterpretation of Scripture. I mean, those are key elements of this secret group. They're really weird religious kooks. I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone. I don't mean to be. Just the way it is. You know, if you think the world's going to literally end so that Christ will come back down on a cloud, you're sadly mistaken. It's never happened that way. Because Earth is a womb for the creation of intelligent life, and she is a conscious being. And if you listen to her, go out of the city, she will tell you that she is suffering, but that she loves you unconditionally. And I had this experience with Earth when I was out in space. And I recount this story in this book. And there is such love that you can't bear it. I couldn't tell the story for years without choking up and crying, but she is suffering a lot. And yet, the Earth is waiting for us to lift this burden. And it will be lifted one way or another. Because we overstayed the current way we're living by 50 to 100 years. And there's only so much oxygen to use up, and only so much that can happen. And then the Earth will shake off her burden. But it isn't going to be what people think. There could be kinds of changes on a physical level. But what it's really doing, as the native people know, is the time of the great purification, the time of the great cleansing, and the reestablishment of civilization. And here's the civilization that we are going to establish. In this state of consciousness, and with forgiveness of all the things that have happened in the past, because the greatest attribute of all is to forgive. Even those who may wish to harm you, like this lion, forgave. We became fast friends. And so, what I see happening is that the information will come out, but with it, on short order, these technologies and sciences, these wondrous sciences that are so amazing. And they're amazing because we live now in a world where all of our energy and manufacturing is really violent. It's early industrial 1900s level of consciousness, no more. We're still burning coal for 57% of our electricity. The manufacturing, I mean, it's all very, very primitive. And yet, there are sciences and technologies extant that have been secreted into these classified projects where we could have a world without poverty, without pollution, and where all of our needs are being met through this level of energy that's called the quantum vacuum flux field. Now, later we'll have the consciousness technologies, but we have to have the consciousness to support this next level of technology, and that's the consciousness of peace. Because every science and technology can be used for war, and these technologies must not be. And yet we cannot live without them on Earth, with 6 billion people wanting to have air conditioning and lights and drive vehicles. The truth is, the fundamental basis for the advancement of our civilization is the establishment of universal peace. And that is a spiritual event in consciousness. Which is why I'm at this conscious life, I don't know what it's called. Consciousness, I don't know what we're called, but something about conscious. So I like to come here because it has consciousness in it. Sorry. Or what day it is, I just go there and I'm there. But We have that as our primary purpose, and that's why we're